Welcome to Raw History, where we cut through romanticization and speculation to show you the unfiltered reality of human history. Archaeological excavations across Scandinavia have revealed a sophisticated understanding of underground construction that kept Viking communities fed through brutal northern winters. These weren't magical frost traps preserving food for decades, but practical pit houses and root cellars that demonstrated remarkable ingenuity with limited tools. The evidence from sites across Iceland, Sweden, and Denmark shows that Vikings mastered the art of using earth itself as insulation, creating storage spaces that maintained stable, cool temperatures without any mechanical refrigeration. Understanding how these structures actually worked reveals more about Viking resourcefulness than any romanticized legend ever could. Vikings constructed what archaeologists call grubenhus, or pit houses, throughout their settlements. Here's where historical accuracy matters. Vikings did not preserve meat for decades in these structures. The foods most commonly stored were dairy products sealed in barrels or ceramic jars, dried fruit and vegetables, and grains. Skyr, a thick cultured dairy product similar to yogurt, became a staple specifically because it could last through harsh winters when properly stored. Historical accounts and archaeological evidence confirm meat had to be consumed shortly after slaughter for most people, because there was no reliable means of long-term meat preservation without expensive salt. Skyr's longevity came from its unique production process. Vikings skimmed cream from milk to make butter, then cultured the remaining skim milk with lactobacilli bacteria and coagulated it with rennet. This created a product with high protein content, low sugar, and natural acidity that inhibited spoilage. When stored in cool underground conditions in sealed containers, skyr could remain edible for weeks or even months, providing crucial protein through winter when fresh milk production dropped as livestock gave less milk in cold weather and reduced daylight. Root vegetables, including carrots, turnips, and parsnips, were stored in these underground spaces where cool temperatures slowed metabolic processes that cause spoilage. Vikings understood that certain vegetables could survive months in proper storage conditions. They layered vegetables in pits, sometimes covering them with straw or sand to provide additional insulation and moisture control. Grains, including barley, rye, and oats, were stored in large pits, dug into the ground and covered to keep contents dry and protected from rodents and insects. Some regions constructed ice houses where available, building partially underground structures insulated with turf and packing them with ice and snow harvested during winter. These provided cold storage through summer months for more perishable items, though archaeological evidence for Viking-era ice houses remains limited compared to later medieval examples. The pit houses and cellars worked in combination with other preservation methods. Vikings relied heavily on drying, particularly for fish. Cod was gutted, often beheaded, and hung on large wooden racks to dry in cold air, creating stockfish that was hard as wood, but provided vital protein when rehydrated. Salting preserved both meat and fish, though salt's expense made it a luxury many couldn't afford. Food was packed in barrels with salt layers that drew out moisture and prevented bacterial growth. Smoking added another preservation option. Meat and fish were hung over fires of alder or other hardwoods, which not only preserved food, but imparted desirable flavors. Fermentation preserved vegetables and dairy products. Fish was sometimes fermented in brine, creating products that remain traditional in Scandinavia today. The combination of these preservation techniques with proper underground storage created a system that allowed communities to survive months when fresh food was unavailable. Archaeological analysis of food remains from Viking sites confirms this multi-method approach. Researchers examining food middens and storage areas have found evidence of dried fish bones, charred grains indicating smoking or drying near hearths, and residues in ceramic vessels suggesting fermented products. This physical evidence matches what Icelandic sagas describe about food preparation and storage practices. The ability to store food reliably transformed Viking society beyond simple survival. When communities could maintain food security through winter, labor could be specialized. Not everyone needed to focus constantly on immediate food procurement. This enabled development of crafts, trade networks, and the seafaring expeditions Vikings became famous for. Knowing that stored provisions could sustain families and communities for months gave Vikings the confidence to undertake long voyages, establish distant settlements, and maintain trade routes that connected Scandinavia with the Mediterranean and beyond. The archaeological evidence from sites like Oddi in southern Iceland, where researchers discovered massive interconnected cave systems from the 10th century, shows the scale of storage operations. These man-made caves, far larger than expected for the period, likely served multiple functions including animal shelter and storage. The investment of labor required to excavate such extensive underground spaces indicates how crucial effective storage was to Viking communities. Modern experimental archaeology, where researchers construct and use replica Viking structures, has confirmed the effectiveness of these storage methods. Pit houses built using authentic materials and techniques maintain stable internal temperatures, protect stored goods from weather extremes, and require no energy input beyond initial construction. These experiments validate what archaeological evidence suggested. Vikings developed highly effective storage technology using environmental understanding rather than mechanical innovation. If this examination of authentic Viking storage techniques has expanded your understanding of medieval food preservation, subscribe to Raw History. We're committed to presenting evidence-based historical research drawn from archaeological excavations and scientific analysis. Share this video with anyone interested in how ancient peoples solved practical challenges using ingenuity and environmental knowledge. The real story of Viking survival is more impressive than myths about magical frost traps.